individual there. They talk about betrayal. They talk about the president's arrogance. They say Ruto must go. They talk even about the return of illicit brews. But when it comes to critical issues of this country, is this really the alternative? That even the kind of conversations about debts, we're not having it at that level. Are you concerned that even our political consciousness is not aligned with the biggest problems that we're facing? Mulu.
Yeah, I think, Fred, let me say this. And this is a very objective assessment of issues. The truth of the matter is, when Kenyans gave Kenya Kwanza a chance to govern this country, the expectations were very high. And this was mostly informed by their manifesto. Now, looking back for the last about 2+ years, they have been in power. I think objectively we are to assess the performance of the Kenya Kwanza government. They have fallen below expectations. And on that note, if the status quo remains for the next 2 years remaining, there will be need to change this government if Kenyans want to help themselves. If as a country we are concerned about our future, if the status quo as today remains, there will be serious need to change this government. Now the question is, you change it to who? And I think that's where now we have a challenge, as those of us who are in opposition in quotes, because normally now it's a minority government, but the alternative government. And I've said many times, even as we say Ruto must go, we must provide that alternative. For example, we want to hear our side talking more about if Ruto was not the president today, what would we be doing to the issue of public debt? If Ruto was not the president today, what do we do with our education sector, which seems to be collapsing? If Ruto was not the president today, what alternative do we have for our health sector, which has issued the SHA and a lot of other things? If Ruto is not the president today, what alternative are we providing for unemployment problem in this country? If Ruto is not the president, what alternative do we have for our university education? These are the issues. But the more I listen to our side, get to the rooftop of cars, I don't see that coming out strongly. And how I wish we started going in that direction. Now, the other question, which is very critical, and I want to say this because we've said it many times. Fred, there is no way you will do things the same way and expect different results. I've been in the opposition benches for the last 13 years. I've never joined the government in my political life. And we have been having this problem of saying, who is our candidate early enough? Because we do what we are doing now. Everybody will get to their political party, mobilize around their political party. Now, when it comes to the most critical question, who is going to bear the cut in terms of who is going to be our presidential candidate, we delay so much up to the last 2-3 months. And at that time, Kenyans have been waiting so patiently till they are confused and start making decisions, because the other side will be having a candidate who they have analyzed, agreed this is the way. Your side, you have no candidate, and then you keep on telling Kenyans, Ruto must go. We have advised, and I like what Pogiso was saying, we might be very junior, but the things we say here mean a lot. We have said this time, if we want to get it right and help Kenyans, we must be able to tell Kenyans who is going to be the alternative to Ruto early enough. So they have a time to analyze that particular individual. They have time to analyze the proposed manifesto, and on the basis that make a judgment. But the challenge these guys have, all of them, and I have interacted with all of them, and I've told them on one-to-one, is they must be ready to make sacrifices. All of them are potential presidential candidates. All of them. You look at Gachagua, you look at Mheshimiwa Kalonzo, who is my party leader, you look at, all of them can be presidents. But I'm telling you, unless they agree to say, we are all equals, but we agree to rally behind one of them and work out on a manifesto which is attractive to Kenyans, they will still have the same problem we have been having. Yes. They will leave wide room for somebody else, for Ruto possibly to come back because they are not organized, and then we will be blaming them for what Kenyans are going through. This time they must get it right. Let them form their parties early enough. At least a year or so before elections, we need to be clear who is our presidential candidate. And this will take serious sacrifices. My fear is I don't think some of them will be able to sacrifice as much as Kenyans expect.
But Akira, do you think that perhaps this opposition, if I call them that, or alternative parties, spend